I recently became a parent. Jessica, the person who took Michael away from me by pretending to be pregnant, sent me a message demanding a $5,000 baby shower gift. Even though I've moved on and remarried, Jessica's presence still bothers me. Despite being my sister, she hasn't changed and continues to cause trouble without any concern. John, a friend, suggested we attend the celebration, and I reluctantly agreed, trusting that he has a plan to deal with Jessica's antics. While Jessica may find it amusing now, I believe she'll face consequences for her actions soon. As for me, my name is John Johnson, and I work as an office assistant in a local company. Shifting to a different story, I've been dating someone since my college days. I met Michael Smith, a medical student, through club activities. He comes from a family of allergy specialists, and his father's clinic is well known across the country. Initially, I thought Michael was just a smart and wealthy guy due to his family background. But as we got to know each other, I discovered his uniqueness. We bonded over our shared interest in a film director's work, and my initiative to invite him to a movie paid off. He began to see me as someone special. Our relationship extended beyond college, and Michael proposed when I was 25. He shared his aspiration to become a great doctor, eventually taking over his dad's clinic. Excitedly, he asked me to be part of this journey with him, and I gladly accepted. Pregnant shortly after our wedding, I was elated, believing Michael would be an excellent father. The baby's health was my primary concern, regardless of gender. However, my joy turned to despair when severe morning sickness hit me hard. Constant nausea forced me to resign from my job, and I found solace in eating to combat the sickness. The house became a mess with snack wrappers and bread bags scattered around. Returning home one day, Michael expressed his disappointment about the chaotic state of our home and my apparent weight gain. I explained that the morning sickness compelled me to eat constantly. Instead of empathy, he cruelly compared me to a pig that had given up on staying slim, laughing mockingly at my struggle. Shocked by his insensitivity, I clung to the hope that he would return to his kind self after the baby's birth, but that hope too would soon be shattered. One day, my sister Jessica paid a visit. "Hey, Naomi, you're here. Place looks a bit chaotic though. Sorry about the mess." "No worries. I'm used to it. It's like a second home." Jessica, my sister, appeared before me, worn out and struggling with morning sickness. Despite her occasional visits, I was too unwell to entertain her properly. Hoping for a distraction, I started a conversation, sharing the news that it seemed the baby in my belly was a girl. "Wow, didn't know you were already thinking about dressing up and shopping. Does Michael know?" "Yep, it's going to be a girl." I told Michael right away. "I dream of wearing matching outfits with my child." "Jessica, you've always been stylish. I'll count on your advice when the time comes." Jessica turned around, smiling meaningfully. "That's right. Michael is still a rookie doctor, but he'll eventually take over the family clinic." "Stop it, Jessica. That's too harsh. You really have a sharp tongue." Jessica is sarcastic and sometimes hits hard with her words. As her younger sister, I've grown used to it, but it can be tough when I'm unwell. Jessica quickly switched back to her usual smile. "Sorry, slipped into my usual mode. So, Naomi, anything bothering you lately?" "Well, Michael's been coming home late. As a doctor, it's unavoidable. But he's at the hospital all the time, even on weekends. We hardly have time to talk these days." "I see. Not surprising for someone claiming to be a doctor's wife like you." Jessica's icy smile sent a chill down my spine. "Well, I came to talk to you today." As she spoke, Jessica glanced toward the living room door, and entering from there was Michael. "Michael, did you finish work early at the hospital today? We need to talk. Let's get a divorce." "What kind of joke is this? What do you mean?" As soon as I returned home, Michael's words confused me. I knew he wasn't the type to make a terrible joke, especially given our long relationship since college and the fact that I was carrying his child. "Look, your beloved husband is saying this. You should listen to his request and let go quickly." Jessica's shocking statement left me in disbelief. Michael awkwardly looked at me. I can't see you as a woman anymore after you kept eating and gaining weight. But this is morning sickness. I feel sick if I don't eat. Jessica triumphantly stared at me. That's the way it is. And the baby in your belly, being a girl, won't be the heir to the Smith Clinic. But I carried Michael's child in my belly, a suitable heir. I felt a sinking feeling as Jessica lovingly stroked her belly. I'm 3 months pregnant, and it's a boy, according to the tests. You can't be serious. I just had a baby. What are you doing while I'm going through all this pain? Your excuses, quitting your job, and just eating all the time are unacceptable. I'm tired of watching you lying around, constantly eating snacks. I take care of myself, so I don't have morning sickness, even when pregnant. I won't lose my self-control and eat like a pig, unlike you. I was at a loss for words, seeing Jessica's smug face, and Michael looking down at the floor, guilt-ridden. While I didn't know about Jessica being pregnant with a boy, as an heir, I wanted a son. I value a beautiful wife like Jessica over someone who indiscriminately gains weight. Isn't that just a desire for an heir, while a beautiful wife is your own selfish preference? I'll pay alimony, so let's part without any fuss. Witnessing Michael's apology, I realized that our relationship could never return to its former state. Following the divorce, I became a single mother and gave birth to our daughter. Unfortunately, Michael's promise of alimony turned out to be mere words with no actual financial support. After childbirth, I had to work to make ends meet since I had no one to rely on. Unsure of my options, I took a job at a nearby department store that was hiring. Life took an unexpected turn, and my hard work and character caught the attention of John Johnson, a highly regarded manager in the external sales department. Tough day. You're always working hard. Thanks. I'm about to finish up soon. Are you done for the day, John? Yeah. Oh, there's this great Italian place nearby. I want you to try, Naomi. And it's a little gift for your daughter. Through casual conversations, our connection grew, leading to dating and eventually our remarriage. Naomi, I might be a guy 20 years older than you, but I sincerely want to make you and your daughter happy. Will you marry me? Are you sure about me? I'd be delighted. Life after remarriage was truly blissful, a kind husband, and my daughter and I enjoyed a peaceful life. However, I failed to notice the ominous footsteps approaching our tranquil days. One day, while Jan was at work and I had some time off, an email arrived. It was from Jessica, and the content was shocking. A baby is born. I'm expecting a $5,000 baby shower gift. A gasp escaped me as I read that abrupt email. Memories flooded back from 5 years ago when Jessica had an affair with Michael and took him away. Now asking for a $5,000 baby shower gift, seemed excessive. I couldn't forget that day, the expressions on Jessica and Michael's faces, their disregard for my suffering from morning sickness, was unforgivable. Uncertain about how to respond to Jessica's email, John returned from work, sensing something was amiss. Concerned, he asked, "What's wrong, Naomi? You look pale." "Oh, John, it's a message from my sister. She had a baby. The sister who married your ex-husband, Michael." "Yeah, I don't want to see her face or hear from her. Plus, she's asking for a $5,000 baby shower gift." As John listened and glanced at my phone, he suddenly said, "Wait, this Jessica Smith name, you know her? I didn't mention her when we got married because I didn't want to remember." "Yeah, I've never been introduced to her by you, but I wonder." John, contemplating while looking at the email, seemed to recall something. "We didn't properly greet her during our wedding, so let's visit her now. Also, I just remembered something I needed to do back at the department store." He quickly prepared to leave. Going back to the department store now. "Sorry, there's something I need to do." A few hours later, John returned with a thick file. "Is it okay if we visit your sister, Jessica, 2 weeks from now on Sunday? We both had the day off, and I'd like her to meet my parents and cousins too." "Your parents and cousins too?" "Jessica loves being the center of attention, so she'll probably be fine. But why? I've heard your ex-husband, Michael, is famous for allergy treatment. My family has a history of allergies. Thought we might get some good advice. I remembered hearing from friends that Michael had taken over his father's allergy clinic. Michael's dad was an authority on allergy treatment, and Michael became an allergist too. A friend told me. Okay, I'll contact Jessica. Jessica quickly agreed when I contacted her. I want to see the baby and will bring a gift. Can I bring some relatives too? They really want to meet you. Of course, the more guests, the more gifts. Looking forward to seeing you in 2 weeks on Sunday. 2 weeks later, on Sunday, I visited Jessica's house with John, his parents, and relatives, including his cousins, in a quiet residential area. Her stylish house stood next to the clinic, its white walls gleaming. John's parents and relatives were surprised by its luxurious design, excited to meet the renowned allergist. Welcome. I've been waiting for you. Long time no see, Jessica. You look happy. Of course, I was worried about my first child's birth, but it all worked out in the end. I felt something off in Jessica's words. First childbirth? Didn't you say you were pregnant with a boy before? Oh, did I not tell you? I miscarried that time, so this is my first. John, standing beside me, nodded meaningfully. Seeing John's face, Jessica started to tremble. Oh, hello. Nice to meet you. Hello, you must be Naomi's sister. I've heard a bit about the miscarriage. Yes, but I don't want to remember the miscarriage. Jessica turned her face away in a huff and started to walk off. Sorry about that. Oh, there's something I wanted to give you, Jessica. What? Something for me? Jan handed her an envelope. It's pastel-colored, and the word congratulations written on it, thick enough to be noticeable even from the side. Here you go. I wanted to give this to Jessica personally. Got it right? Just what I've been waiting for. I glanced at John and whispered to him, Hey, we aren't rich, and we don't have to give Jessica the $5,000 she asked for. But John, unfazed, cut me off. It's fine. Trust me. You'll understand if you watch. What do you mean if I watch? While we were talking about the envelope, Jessica had already started opening it. I need to check if it's exactly $5,000. With this thickness, it might even be $10,000. The cute envelope was torn open with a ripping sound. Jessica's face clouded over the moment she opened it. What's this? John stepped forward with a salesperson's smile to explain. Mrs. Jessica Smith, this is a detailed statement of your purchases at the department store over the past 5 years. You said to put it on my tab, and this is the amount you've accumulated to date. What are you talking about? I don't know anything about this. Jessica held a statement listing names of luxury watches and brand bags. Seeing the 5-digit figure in the amount column, I was in disbelief. Indeed, Mr. Michael Smith himself and his parents are valued customers with an external sales card contract. However, with such a high amount, we needed to confirm, just to be sure. My husband is the famous allergist Michael Smith. As the wife of the clinic's director, using 1 or 2 external sales cards is nothing, is that so? Also, there's something else I personally wanted to verify. John paused before continuing. About 5 years ago, we had complaints about a customer flaunting their external sales card and making extremely unpleasant remarks. Do you know anything about this? What's that? What does it matter? Since we had several complaints, I checked with the staff who were nearby at the time. The content of the conversation was so terrible that the staff remembered it clearly. Glancing sideways, I saw Jessica's expression harden. The staff said the conversation was about stealing someone's husband, who happens to be her brother-in-law. Could it be? Yes, that's right. And she bragged about using a fake pregnancy to break them up, laughing loudly. She talked about how she lied about miscarrying like it was some kind of heroic tale. That's when I realized that time. Jessica's claim of being pregnant with a boy, the hair, was all a lie to snatch Michael. Of course, there was no pregnancy, so no morning sickness or changes in her body shape. What are you saying? That story was about me? Matching the complaints with the external sales card, your name, Jessica Smith, came up. I can't believe this. You are marrying into a doctor's family, becoming the clinic director's wife. I couldn't stand it. I had to do whatever it took to tell Michael that I was the right one for him. I couldn't believe that Michael had fallen for Jessica's scheme, and she had lied to marry him. While I was in shock, the door opened. What's this all about? Explain yourself, Jessica. Since when have you been here? From the beginning. I came back to get something I forgot and found the external sales card statement. And now, I hear the pregnancy 5 years ago was all a lie. You trapped me, Michael shouted, and Jessica began to laugh. So what? You got a beautiful wife, and we have a child now, so it's fine, right? Don't joke with me. I can't live with a liar like you. Let's get a divorce. You can't be serious. What about our child? Don't you feel sorry for them? Pushing her away, Michael glared at Jessica with a furious expression. I can't live with a liar and reckless spender like you. It's not good for the child either. We're getting a divorce. I'm taking custody. Are you kidding me? Do you have any idea what I went through to give birth to this child? This child needs to become a doctor in the future to support us. You're just thinking about yourself. There's no point in talking about this now. Let's handle the rest through a lawyer. The relatives who came along hoping to get some effective medicine from the famous allergist were frozen in shock at this chaotic scene. I was so embarrassed to admit that she was my sister. Afterward, Michael got a good lawyer specializing in divorce and successfully got divorced and won custody. Meanwhile, Jessica, who had been shopping to her heart's content on credit using the external sales card during her marriage, was now being chased for repayments. Hey, if your husband hadn't brought that statement, I'd still be the clinic director's wife. I'm being hounded for repayments now. Help your sister out in a pinch, will you? Why should I? You brought this on yourself, didn't you? And you should pay for your own shopping. Unexpectedly, I got a message from Michael via social media. Hey, can we start over? If Jessica hadn't lied about having a boy 5 years ago, we would have been fine as a couple. I want to see our daughter too. I have forgotten how you left me suffering with morning sickness and mocked me, then cheated on me. After 5 years of no contact, the last thing I wanted was to see his face again. Michael seemed to be struggling to keep the clinic he inherited from his father running, but he couldn't stop gossip due to the infidelity rumors. Patients stopped coming to the Smith Clinic, which Michael inherited, had a 1-star rating, and unbelievably bad reviews on a hospital review site. It seemed only a matter of time before he would have to close the clinic. He was so fixated on inheriting, ironically. He was so obsessed with having a male heir. My husband, daughter, and I continue to live happily as a family. Naomi, are you ready? Shall we head out soon? Yes, I was just remembering how delicious the spaghetti you brought me from that restaurant was back when I was a single mother. Jen used to order from a restaurant for takeout as a way to approach me back then. My daughter was small, and since we weren't dating, we never ate at the restaurant, just as colleagues. You had just gotten divorced and were having a hard time, right? I thought even a little bit of delicious food could bring you happiness. It was your kindness that drew me to you, the dish that brought us together. Back then, it was just my daughter and me eating takeout, but now it's different. I'm happy that we can eat together as a family. Who would have thought that a day like this, going out with you and our daughter, would come? Good luck to me. No more spending on raising kids. Let's end our marriage. I was completely surprised when John suddenly said these words while we were getting ready for a funeral. I knew he was selfish, but this was even worse than I could have imagined. I want to marry someone, but she doesn't want kids. If Charlie is still alive, I'll keep losing money on child support and medical bills, right? Oh, what a relief. It felt terrible that this man was Charlie's father, but I agreed to the divorce. My mind cleared, but inside I was boiling. I agreed to the divorce. Yeah, then I'll take the house, so leave as soon as possible. Just wait until the funeral's over. Fine with that. John left on the day of the funeral. I read Charlie's will. Jane turned pale while relatives glared at him with fierce faces. It was time for a counterattack. I'm Natasha, a 42-year-old housewife. I used to translate for a company, but now I freelance. My husband John is 45, 3 years older than me. We married when I was 29, and he was a client at my company. The next year, our son Charlie was born, but John, being selfish, hardly helped raise him. Charlie was delicate since birth, frequently in and out of the hospital. I often blamed myself for not giving him a stronger body. But despite his struggles, he bravely faced treatments and held on for 12 years. Things got worse around his 12th birthday. During his first rainy season, constant coughing plagued him. His body rejected food, and his fever wouldn't break. We hurried him to the hospital, tried 4 treatments, but his symptoms barely improved. Mom, sorry for being in the hospital again. No need to apologize. You'll get better, right? Yeah, I'll do my best. With a weak smile, Charlie spoke. Tears welled up in me, but I held them back, not wanting to show weakness in front of him. After Charlie finally dozed off, I called John, but no matter how many times I dialed, he didn't answer. Thinking he might be in a meeting, I switched to messaging. John replied the next morning. Seeing his message, I called him immediately, and this time he answered right away. What's up so early? Don't give me that. Why won't you come? Charlie's fighting so hard. Well, my presence won't cure him, right? And by the way, the hospital bills must be adding up. Tell the doctor to bill him quickly. What? How can you say that? Can't hear you. I'm off to work. Wait. John hung up without listening. He had always been indifferent toward Charlie, but this level of cruelty was new. I gripped my phone, shaking with anger. Even as the rainy season gave way to summer, Charlie's health didn't improve. Doctors doubted he'd make it to winter, so I scaled back my work to be with him as much as I could. Mom, you've been with me all day lately. Is your work okay? It's fine. I'm handling everything from home, so don't worry, if you say so. Charlie didn't seem convinced. He probably thought my work had slowed down because of him. After that chat, to spare him stress, I started bringing my laptop and working right in front of him. Charlie loved books and spent most of his days reading. He also enjoyed studying and would join the hospital school when he felt up to it. I wanted to let him do anything he wished, but John wasn't happy about it. Not only did he avoid visiting Charlie, but he also complained constantly at home. Hey, is that kid still not discharged? Staying in a private room, huh? What a waste of money. How can you say that when your son is fighting so hard? Why don't you visit him for once? I'm busy, okay? You visiting him is enough. John's attitude never changed, and he never visited Charlie in the hospital, despite being his father. I knew Charlie must be lonely, but I understood that forcing John to visit against his will wouldn't help, so I didn't push it further. By now, John often came home late, smelling of alcohol. He claimed it was for client entertaining, but lipstick on laundered shirts and motel receipts hinted at an affair. He had no time for Charlie, but made time for another woman. My love for John had faded, but I hesitated to divorce him, fearing it would upset Charlie. Despite my feelings, I endured it. Meanwhile, Charlie's health deteriorated. Summoned by his doctor, I received shocking news. I'm sorry, but he only has about a month left. What? Doctor, can't you do anything? As tears streamed down my face, the doctor assured me, we'll do our best until the very end. For the next half-month, we continued treatment, consulting with the doctor. However, Charlie's condition continued to weaken. Am I going to be gone soon? What are you saying? There's so much more you want to do, right? I encouraged him with those words, but privately cried away from his sight. When the doctor finally declared further treatment futile, I decided to bring Charlie home for his final moments. Are we going home? Yes, the doctor said. A change of scenery for a few days would be good. Yay. Charlie's weak yet childlike response made me fight back tears. I informed John, but all he said was "edge" and left the house. This man is beyond redemption. I had completely lost hope in him. The discharge was set for the next evening, so I busied myself with preparations and paperwork. While packing Charlie's belongings, He suddenly asked me, "Mom, do you love Dad?" Taken aback by the sudden question, I stopped what I was doing. Charlie continued without waiting for my response. "Dad doesn't seem interested in me or you, so if you don't love Dad, I want you to divorce and live your life." Charlie must have sensed that things weren't going well between John and me, but as a parent, I couldn't let him worry about us until the end. I quickly put on a smile and replied, "What are you talking about? I love your dad, and he cares about us too. He's just too busy to visit, so don't worry, okay?" But okay. Charlie didn't seem convinced, but he dropped the matter. After that, he fell asleep, and I breathed a sigh of relief. 2 days later, Charlie passed away at home with me by his side. John never showed up till the end, and I stayed by Charlie's side, holding his hand. "Charlie, Charlie," I wailed, holding onto his cooling body, reminiscing about every moment since he entered my life. The doctor and a nurse who had been by our side since Charlie's youth joined us in mourning and explained the next steps. One of them handed me a letter from Charlie's bag. "This is from Charlie," he said, "to give it to you if anything happened." I received the letter from Charlie, expressing gratitude to the doctor and the nurse. Alone without John's assistance while Charlie battled his illness, I could only feel thankful for those who supported us during this challenging time. After they departed, I opened the letter beside Charlie. Its contents surprised me. What is this? Charlie's letter not only conveyed his gratitude, but also revealed something startling. Even as the funeral director discussed arrangements, I found my mind consumed by the letter's contents. Despite this, for Charlie's sake, I had to decide on the details, planning a modest and homey funeral. Then, the day before the funeral, John finally appeared, still smelling of alcohol. Alone, I had no energy left to confront him. John, noticing my exhaustion, casually remarked, "You aged," as he pulled out more alcohol from the fridge to drink. "Tomorrow is Charlie's funeral. Where have you been? I told you I was at work. What's with all these complaints? Why did I marry such a man? No, without him, I wouldn't have met Charlie." My mind was in turmoil. Charlie is no longer with us. Oh yeah, that's right. His attitude, as if Charlie was some distant relative, filled me with simmering anger. But arguing with him was pointless. So I decided to focus on the funeral arrangements for the next day. Good fortune for me, no more child-rearing expenses. Let's get divorced. What? I couldn't conceal my shock when John suddenly uttered this during the funeral preparations. I knew he was selfish, but this was too much. There's a woman I want to marry, but she doesn't want kids. So with Charlie alive, the child support and medical expenses would drain my money. Ah, what a relief! How terrible I felt a chill run through me that such a man was Charlie's father. As my mind cleared, my anger surged. Fine, I agree to the divorce. All right then, I'll take the house. Get out as soon as you can. Just wait until after the funeral. Is that okay? John left on the date of the funeral. I read Charlie's will. John turned pale, and relatives glared at him with fierce expressions. Now it was time for my counterattack. The will, penned by Charlie, exposed John's affair. Until I read the will at the funeral, John had been playing the role of a grieving father, loudly crying. How could there be such a letter? No, it's not true. It's a prank, right, Natasha? I felt sorry for not visiting because of work, but this is too much. John tried to deny it, appearing pathetic. I silently took out an envelope from my bag and thrust photos in front of John. What? You took pictures? Disturbed by being caught in a photo, like being seen with the woman, arm in arm within this picture. Ah, no. As John stumbled over his words, his face still pale, I smiled sweetly and asked the relatives to pass around a few photos. Whispers of disgust and small cries of shock arose from all around. Despicable, not visiting his frail son, but with this woman in such a scandalous manner. The glares at John intensified, and he slumped down in his seat. I then presented John with the divorce papers. He looked up at me in shock, his voice cracking as if he was about to cry. You didn't pay attention to me because you were always nursing him. It was just a fling. Forgive me, I don't want a divorce. Not paying attention? You're not a child. I repeatedly asked you to help me nurse him, but you always ran away claiming work as an excuse. But nursing is dirty. As soon as John said that, he disappeared from my view, and when I looked down, he was crawling on the floor, with my father-in-law standing over him, breathing heavily. You, what do you mean nursing your own son is dirty? Enough with the jokes. A parent who doesn't care for their child isn't a parent at all. You're the lowest of the low. My in-laws had always adored Charlie. They celebrated every hospital discharge with a meal, bought Charlie his favorite things, and never missed a visit. They had been covering for John, believing his excuses about being busy at work, never imagining their son could be such a disgrace. Tears streamed down their faces as they glared at John, who sat in disbelief, clutching his cheek where he'd been struck. Natasha, I'm so sorry. We had no idea. If we knew he was such a man, we would have encouraged you to divorce him sooner. We are truly sorry. They began to bow deeply, and I hurried to lift them up. It wasn't their fault. Charlie loved his grandparents, and their presence was one reason I hadn't divorced John. You guys are not to blame. Look, Charlie's letter says thank you and stay healthy. Charlie and I both love you very much, Natasha. Thank you, sorry, Charlie. My mother-in-law hugged me, sobbing quietly. My father-in-law was also crying, apologizing to me. John, finally coming to his senses, stood up and pointed at me, yelling, "Don't be ridiculous. She's just an old lady who couldn't even take care of her husband, a failure of a wife." As my father-in-law lunged towards John, I stepped in front of him. John looked at me with a fearful yet defiant glare. What, you got something to say? Not really. This is reality. No one here is on your side. And make sure to pay back the money you've borrowed from many people, haven't you? How do you know about that? At my words, relatives who had lent John money began murmuring after reading Charlie's letter. I had informed the relatives about John's extravagant spending on a woman from a nightclub who enjoyed luxury items and overseas trips. John, funding all of it, could never afford such a lifestyle on his salary alone. Realizing this, I checked if anyone had lent him money, and to my surprise, it wasn't just John's relatives, but mine as well. Under the guise of Charlie's medical expenses, while I had initially informed them just to thank and promise repayment, with the current situation, they realized John had used the money not for Charlie, but for his affair. Don't play games with me. I lent that money thinking it was for Charlie. Give me back my $20,000 right now. Same here, I want my $40,000 back. These words triggered a cascade of demands from various relatives for the money they had lent. John looked around, his face turning paler with each claim. Then he turned to me, smiling weakly. Natasha, we're a couple, right? You'll help me, won't you? What? Are you serious? You didn't help with nursing, didn't contribute to the medical expenses, or even the living expenses, and instead borrowed from everyone for your own selfish needs. Unbelievable. Why would I help you? Don't say things like that with a pathetic voice. John slumped back down, seemingly out of energy to retort. I looked down at him, ready to deliver the final blow, and called to the entrance, "Cheryl, please come in." "Cheryl? Why is she here?" John's face was a picture of sheer panic as he stared at the entrance. The woman named Cheryl walked towards me hesitantly. She looked plain with light makeup, a stark contrast to the woman in the photos. I invited her on Charlie's last day. She was with you, right? I thought it would be nice if she could attend the funeral. I'm sorry about this. Save it. No need for such superficial words. Cheryl closed her mouth tightly at my response, her face as pale as John's. I handed her some documents. I called you here today to sign these. Please read them carefully and sign. $100,000. I can't pay that. It's impossible. It's not for you to decide whether you can pay or not. Cheryl pleaded with me through her eyes, but I wasn't ready to let her off the hook easily. John, trembling, positioned himself between Cheryl and me. What now? It's my fault, so please forgive Cheryl. Demanding $100,000 from her is just too cruel. Why should I? I'm merely asking for compensation for the affair. John raised his eyebrows and let out a heavy sigh, inwardly screaming that I'm the one who wants to sigh. I waited for John's next words. That's because Cheryl is fragile, unlike you. How do you expect her to earn $100,000? How cruel can you be, John? Cheryl clung to John's back, both seemingly lost in each other. The icy stares weren't only from me. The relatives were ready to voice their disapproval. But I decided to add fuel to the fire. Cheryl, your son is hospitalized, right? Son? Cheryl flinched. I continued, he's 12, just like Charlie was, always in the hospital. Your ex-husband took custody, right? Tough with all the hospital and treatment costs, not to mention the bed fees. You must be getting quite a demand for child support, aren't you? How? How do you know that? Cheryl looked at me as if she'd seen a ghost. John was frozen in shock. I pulled out some documents from my bag and handed them to John. He shakily read them, then suddenly pushed Cheryl away. Hey, what's this? Divorced with a kid? You never told me. Didn't you say the money was for your family living far away? I didn't lie. My son. Son is my family. So I've been with a used woman. Where's the true love you were after? My money? You were only after my body. Cheryl threw her shoe at John, enraged. John lunged at her, and they started brawling like children, but fortunately, a security guard intervened. I approached the disheveled pair with a smile. John, please sign the divorce papers and arrange for the alimony. Cheryl, I won't reduce your compensation by a single cent. John, what's your ex-husband said something about your affairs being a sickness that can't be cured. Seems like you have a few partners, so with that kind of leeway, expect enforced payments for the child support, treatment costs, and alimony. That's impossible. John hung his head, speechless, and Cheryl was led away by security. Her shoulders slumped in defeat. I apologized to each relative for the disturbance, and they comforted me, bringing me to tears. After that, my divorce from John was finalized. We also agreed on the amount of alimony he had to pay, just as I had requested. This incident infuriated his parents tremendously. Moreover, the extended family was outraged to discover they had been deceived too. Giving him the cold shoulder, of course, he was asked to return the money he embezzled, and it seems like he borrowed it from some shady sources. To repay the debt, he's been working tirelessly with multiple jobs, but the repayment is so huge that he's rumored to have nothing left for living expenses. Eventually, unable to keep up with the ballooning interest, last month he was taken away by some intimidating guys. His parents don't even intend to file a missing person report, so while I hope he's safe, I can't help but wish he suffers unimaginable pain. As for Cheryl, all the men she dated found out about her affairs and the child she had. Cutting off all financial support at 30, she's considered old for her line of work, struggling to attract clients, and eventually had to turn to her parents. She paid the alimony in one lump sum. However, she's since been sent to work on a farm on some island, with her wages going directly to her parents for debt repayment. As for me, I moved with Charlie's memorial tablet. I bought a house near the ocean, something Charlie always wanted, and now live there alone with the cat he wished for. I look forward to the times when my in-laws visit, and we reminisce about Charlie. Another letter from Charlie arrived for me. In it, he wrote in slightly blurred script about his gratitude. Apologies for leaving for heaven first, and his wish to be my child again in another life. The letter ended with, Mom, stay true to yourself, stay healthy, and live a long life, inspiring me to live my life for Charlie. Despite the sadness of not seeing my beloved child grow up, I'm living each day to the fullest.